Okay, so Kristiina, thanks so much for joining us here on Euractiv. So just to kick things off, the Commission has these ambitious goals for 2030. How close is your industry to achieve those and to do their bit to really help the Commission achieve their 2030 goals?
So, of course, packaging industry and also food industry have to contribute achieving these targets. And I feel that in ACE we are well prepared because we have launched our ACE 2030 and beyond roadmap, where we have an ambitious vision and concrete targets about how we are going to really support the Green Deal ambitions and targets.
Okay, but when we think of the food and beverage industry, this is an industry that has a lot, it produces a lot of packaging. I think I've read some figures that suggest that, your industry accounts for 100 million more tonnes of waste than other sectors. And the average, we could say also the average European generates 180 kilograms of packaging waste per year. 1/3 of that is also not recycled. So how much of a mountain is it that you're having to climb to meet these goals for the European Commission's targets?
So I think it's important to keep in mind that we also have the waste issue with food. So 1/3 of food produced is never consumed because it's wasted. And that's also a big contribution towards the kind of achieving the climate targets that needs to be met. Then if coming to packaging, of course, we fully support Commission intention to ensure that all packaging is either recycled or reused, and therefore we have really been planning our roadmap, and we are committed to contribute that all beverage cartons will get collected and recycled. There is, of course, a lot to be done for our industry and also other industries. So in this respect, we are not there alone.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about this roadmap then. Obviously, as I was saying, this is an industry that produces a lot of waste. You're trying to perhaps move away from plastic packaging. So take us through a little bit about your journey as ACE.
Yes. In ACE, we have indeed produced this 2030 and beyond roadmap, where our ambition is that we will have the most sustainable food packaging for resilient food systems. And then we have clear commitments where we say that we will have all our beverage cartons collected and recycled. We aim to have 70% effective recycling rate in EU. Then all beverage cartons will be made out of renewable or recycled materials. Then we will have the lowest carbon footprint packaging, and all raw materials will come from sustainability certified sources. So in a way, our roadmap is really addressing all parts of the value chain and defining how the industry is really contributing towards the Green Deal ambitions.
And would you say that sustainability is an aspect that you've sort of really latched onto also because of the society that we live in now? Everyone is acutely aware of what the impact of climate change is, and your consumers, people, citizens, they want the world that they live in to be a lot more sustainable. So how much does that then factor into how you as an industry operate?
It's clear that we need to balance the consumer expectations and then build in the sustainability. And this is not always an easy equation, because we know that consumers want to have everything on the go and immediately, and it needs to be easy. But in our industry, we have really been now looking at what we need to do as an industry to deliver towards the sustainability goals. And of course, each of the companies then have their specific roadmaps and action plans about what they will concretely deliver and develop in their specific packaging. So this is an industry umbrella where we see that we have a shared direction, but then the concrete actions are of course up for separate companies.
And so how difficult is it then for your industry, for the beverage industry specifically, to move away from plastic packaging? Because, plastic as as a material for packaging came about because it's also one of the most safe and hygienic methods of transportation of beverages. So how difficult is it to move away from the kind of old-fashioned way of having plastic packaging to your newer forms of packaging?
If starting with beverage cartons, it is mostly based on renewable material, wood fibers. So about 70% of our packaging is already renewable. And we have thin plastic layers on both sides of the packaging to protect the food and the package from the environment. And our common target is really to increase share of renewable material, decrease share of plastic, also move from fossil-based plastic to renewable plastic or recycled plastic and thereby contribute. But of course we need to keep the safety and functioning of the packaging in the center because we really have a solution which delivers really a specific job. So if thinking about the products we pack, it's mostly microbiologically sensitive liquid foods like dairy, juices, dairy alternatives, which really require hygiene and safety, and our aseptic solutions provide extended shelf life for these products without need of refrigeration or then preservatives, which and think about this. So in standard packaging, you need cold chain and reach up to 2 weeks shelf life, whereas with aseptic packaging, we can reach up to 1 year shelf life. So without such packaging, we really risk to increase food waste, also increase greenhouse gas emissions of the food value chain by requiring refrigeration in the transportation and storage as well.
Talk to us a little bit about the kind of initiatives that your industry is undertaking to really help do their part to tackle climate change.
So if starting with the current status, so we have several life cycle assessment studies already showing that beverage cartons perform well in climate change category compared to other alternatives for dairy and juices. And we are also on par with current reusable packaging what comes to climate change emissions. And then we do not want to stop here. So we have also in our roadmap actions to further reduce the climate impact, which can be done with 3 key measures. So firstly, increasing the collection and recycling, where we have potential to really save 1 million tons of CO2 if getting 90% of cartons collected and then recycled. Then the second one is further increasing the renewable share in our cartons, which is also part of our roadmap. And then the third one is decarbonizing across all the operations in the value chain, which all our members are already committed to in their science-based targets.
Okay, so there's obviously a big chain behind everything concerned when it comes to trying to be sustainable for your industry. Let's come to the big players in the industry. How important is it for these big companies to show that they are also leading the way when it comes to being more sustainable?
I think it's very important that we show example and we show that we are proactive. So we do not wait until the legislation requires us to implement better practices. So also in beverage carton industry, we have been piloting different collection systems. We have really been heavily investing in increasing recycling of our packaging already before this current Green Deal. So therefore, it's really important, but it's not really easy. So we also need enabling legislative environment, and we need then also member states and communities, municipalities to do their part, because when we talk about packaging which is collected mostly from homes, we are really dependent on the collection infrastructure and systems offered by these other stakeholders.
And are there any specific bottlenecks then with this European Commission goals for the companies that come under your umbrella?
We support the overall goal of the packaging waste regulation, as already mentioned, but we think that there are a couple of specific things that should still be further considered. And the most important being the recycling loops, where now it's being discussed that packaging should be recycled in closed loops, which is basically bottle-to-bottle recycling, which is not really meaningful for all types of packaging. And as our industry has really been building recycling based on open loop system, we think that that should as well be enabled so that in a way the materials that are used in beverage cartons can be effectively used and find their ways to other products like corrugated boxes or tissue, and the polymer and aluminium fraction is then mostly used in molded applications. So in a way, supporting also the existing systems and developing it based on that would really be necessary for our sector.
So why do you think the Commission then has gone for closed loop versus, what you advocate for, which is open loop?
So the Commission has not gone there, but the current discussion in the European Parliament has really raised these questions about closed loop and open loop, and there the discussion may not be then fully informed by the existing systems.
Now, obviously, sustainability is, as you said, it's a balancing act, but it's also got a lot to do with leadership. So as the newest president of ACE, what do you think your leadership will bring to the cause of sustainability?
As a president of ACE, I of course have then the pleasure to chair the board of ACE, which is responsible for setting the strategy and overseeing deployment of it. And I think we have an excellent foundation to continue on with our roadmap and commitments. We do not expect any radical change of the course here, but we will rather continue the road we have already kind of started.
But is there anything specifically that you, as a leader, want to bring to the organisation? Anything that's something, within your background as well? Because you've got a big background in sustainability and you've been with ACE, for quite some time now. So what is it, do you think you personally can bring to the organisation?
I think I have a strong background in implementation of sustainability programs and really actions. And I think what I want to do is bring us closer to really thinking about the practical implementation, ensuring that in a way the high-level plan is converted into concrete actions.
And then just lastly then, how do you see this sector developing in terms of its packaging if we look beyond 2030 and these European goals? What is the future of packaging for you?
So of course, we need to improve sustainability of packaging, and there it's balancing the consumer needs and then the sustainability agenda, which is not an easy task. And I see that there is a big potential that technology and innovation can bring into this equation. So both thinking about food production, then packaging, and also recycling. So technology and new innovations can really be game changers in all these three areas. But I think going specifically there, that would require a totally different discussion, and therefore just maybe concluding that I'm very happy that ACE is on the driver's seat with the 2030 roadmap, setting a vision for the sustainable packaging for the future, and really also laying down the concrete commitments and actions that we are committed to take as an industry.
But then just lastly, you brought up technology. There's loads of technology out there now. There's AI, quantum's on the way. So how could technology really put your industry on the forefront when it comes to sustainability?
So there are many things. Just a couple of examples. So we have different traceability and tracking systems which will enable our industry to improve efficiency across the value chain in different phases. Then if we think about food supply chains, there are huge technology innovations ongoing to really diversify the, for instance, the protein sources of food as such, and lots of things that can then play together towards the better sustainability of both food and packaging.
Okay, Kristiina, thank you so much for joining us on Euractiv.
Thank you.
Thank you.